clicking on this video. We are back again with more free agency. Today we're going to be going over the losers of free agency. If you haven't seen my winners video, that just got uploaded, so make sure you go check that out. Similar as last time, there's going to be a couple people in here that aren't technically free agents. They're part of trades, but still want to mention them. Also going to be going in the same order of running backs first, then wide receivers, and then tight ends. I don't actually really have any quarterbacks in this situation. I think most of the quarterbacks are kind of winners because they got contracts or got more weapons or whatnot. Before we actually get into those, just make sure you drop a like on this video. It helps out a ton. I cannot emphasize that enough. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I got content coming this entire offseason to get everybody ready. And now with that out of the way, let's get into these losers. First one I want to talk about, one of my favorite players, and this is so sad for me, but an obvious loser I think has got to be DeAndre Swift. Now, I think DeAndre Swift is as talented as pretty much any running back in the entire league. He's unbelievable, but he just cannot stay healthy, and the Lions have shown over and over again now that they just do not trust him, and I can't really blame them. Obviously, Jamal Williams left, but David Montgomery signed here, and they gave him the second largest free agency running back contract, so it's not a small investment that they gave David Montgomery. I think basically he'll just be taking over the Jamal Williams role, which, you know, it doesn't really mean that Swift is dead, but I think anything of like that top 10, top 5 upside that we all once hoped for, I think it's just completely gone. I still think he'll be probably like a middle, probably low end running back too, but I just don't think he's going to get the workload to be able to be that really like elite running back that we hope for. He definitely is somebody who doesn't need a ton of work to be really efficient and be really good for fantasy, but I imagine his workload is going to be somewhere to like that 10, maybe 15 touches a game if we're lucky. So we'll have to see, but I just don't think that elite upside is there anymore. Another guy who was a loser here who I was very upset about because I really like him is going to be Dameon Pierce. There were always worries that they were going to sign somebody or draft somebody that was going to take over his spot or at least eat into his workload because he's a 4th round running back, and no matter how good they are, they definitely just don't tend to trust those guys. And the Texans went and signed Devin Singletary, who is not an elite running back by any means, but is definitely good enough to get work and kind of eat into that workload of Dameon Pierce. And on an offense like the Texans, you kind of need that entire workload to be really valuable for fantasy. It's hard to be really efficient in an offense like this where you're only getting like 15 to 20 touches and be elite. And what made Dameon Pierce so good last year was him getting 25 to almost 30 touches a game at some points. And with Devin Singletary there, he's just too good to not give the ball to at least a little bit. So he's definitely going to eat into that workload and is definitely going to take away from that ceiling that Dameon Pierce has. Another guy who I still think is going to be good, but it's just going to be kind of a grinder, touchdown reliant running back at this point and not someone who you're going to be able to trust every single week. Also kind of want to mention James Robinson here. There was a little bit hope, obviously, just given what we saw at the beginning of his career, and what it's become is pretty crazy, but pretty much any thought of him being relevant again is completely gone. He signed with the Patriots and he's going to be behind Ramondre Stevenson, and there's just no way that he's going to overtake him or really be valuable for fantasy unless Stevenson gets hurt. Then maybe he can be, but I think at this point you kind of just got to give up the hopes of James Robinson being valuable again. Another person who I'm not actually totally sure on is going to be Jamal Williams. This is kind of dependent just given on the Alvin Kamara situation. He's obviously in some legal battles right now, and if he gets suspended, then obviously Jamal Williams will be really good for that time where he's gone, but if he's not, then I just don't know exactly what his role or what its value is going to be. And I think the reason why I think of him as a loser is just given how good he was last year, and the whole role that he had in Detroit was just so good for him. And I think moving out of that role, it's just really tough to see him replicating anything like that somewhere else. So I think just overall, this is probably a little bit of a downgrade for him. But obviously, if Kamara is going to be gone for 4 to 6 weeks, then in that time, he'll be really good. The last running back I want to talk about is going to be Ezekiel Elliott. Obviously, he was cut from the Cowboys, and I just don't really see him at this point in his career signing somewhere else where he's going to get the same type of work or the same type of value. Maybe the Bengals, if they cut Joe Mixon, I could kind of see that. But anywhere besides that, I just don't really see him being more valuable than he would have been on the Cowboys. So given the fact that he was cut from them, I don't think he's going to be able to retain or upgrade his value at any point. On to the wide receivers, some guys that I don't hear a lot of people talking about who I think are losers are Godwin and Evans. Obviously, losing Tom Brady, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, is just got to be a massive downgrade. And now they got Baker, who I guess is a starting level quarterback, but there's just no way he can support 2 fantasy wide receivers. He's barely been able to support 1. if he really ever has been. So there's just no way that they're going to be able to get close to the value that they've had in the past couple years. So definitely a downgrade for both Godwin and Evans. Another guy getting a downgrade is going to be Christian Watson. Obviously, with Aaron Rodgers leaving, there's just no way that you can kind of replicate that value you were hoping to get with him. We only really saw him the back half of the year be really good, but he was unbelievable in that time. Now, Jordan Love may be good. He definitely has the potential, but there's just no way that he's going to be Aaron Rodgers. So given what you were hoping for, I think you got to put him as a loser in free agency. Another guy that I put as a loser is going to be Jacoby Myers. He just signed with the Raiders and is now going to be the wide receiver 2 behind Devontae Adams. Like, there's just no way that he's going to take any work away from Devontae Adams. And although he wasn't unbelievable in New England as a wide receiver 1 there, he was still definitely relevant. And I just don't think that Jimmy G is going to be able to support 2 wide receivers that are really valuable. So I think him signing with the Raiders is definitely going to hurt his value overall, because I just don't think that he'll get the same workload that he was getting in New England. Moving on to the tight ends now, one of the biggest losers overall in all of free agency is going to be Dalton Schultz. This one honestly really hurts, really just for him personally, because last year he was supposed to get an extension of 3 years for like $36 million, I think, and he turned that down, really bet on himself. And although he did get hurt this past year, he was still really good once he was healthy. And now he just signed with the Texans for 1 year for about $9 million, which is just really unfortunate for him. And it's kind of a prove it, bet on yourself deal. And he's going to be part of this Texans team, which the offense just is not very good. And they're going to have a rookie quarterback, probably CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. And, you know, normally just these rookie quarterbacks aren't able to really produce at an elite level and really support these different fantasy wide receivers and tight ends. So although I still think he'll be all right, because there's a good chance that he's going to get force-fed a ton of targets, there's just no way that this situation is better than what was going on in Dallas. And I think if he would have stayed there, it would have been a lot better for him and for fantasy. So definitely unfortunate and sad to see, but I just still got to put him as a loser. And the last guy I want to talk about is going to be Hayden Hurst. I've also seen some conversation on this one. He did get paid a lot of money to go to Carolina and be the main tight end there, but I just think it's going to be a little bit hard in Carolina to really produce consistently. Another situation where they're going to have a rookie quarterback, plus they gave money to Adam Thielen and DJ Chark. And like I talked about with the Texans, when you have a rookie quarterback plus these other wide receivers who need to get fed, I just don't think that they're really going to be able to produce at a consistent level. And Hayden Hurst with the Bengals last year, which is one of the best offenses in the entire NFL. So when you're in that situation and then you go to a situation like Carolina, I just got to put it as a downgrade. So I have him as a loser and going to be the last one I talk about here. All right, but yeah, there's my recap of all of the different losers throughout free agency. So let me know what you think about them. Are any of these guys winners in your mind? Is there anyone I missed out on? Just let me know down in the comments. I would love to talk to y'all about it. I think now I'm going to start doing some mock drafts. Now we're finally getting a lot more information on these guys. So I'm going to start doing underdog drafts. So if there's anything else you want to see or anything more specifically you want to see besides that, let me know as well. But make sure you stay tuned for those. All right. See you there. Later.